Hello, welcome back to the channel. So it's another brew day and we've got a tropical stout planned here. I'm aiming for, well, hopefully around about 7% stout. So a tropical stout, a traditional style, not the newer styles which use the sort of like the new wave of new hops. We're going original, and I'm using actually some Slovenian Aurora hops to add a little bit of spice. And yeah, it's going to be fermented with a lager yeast. So I've got my yeast there. There's my Aurora hops. Going to add some Demerara sugar. Traditionally, tropical stouts did have sugars in them. We've got my brewing salts, and this is my grains. Now I've got to get these in the mill and got to crush these yet. But what we've got is pale malt 31%, Marisota 39%. We've got some chocolate malt. That's got to be crushed, as you can see. 7% flaked oats in here. 7%. Roasted barley, which has already been crushed, 6%, and we've got some crystal malts in here. We've got some double dark. I can't remember. It's crisp maltings. I think it's a double dark crystal, special B, and some medium crystal. So that is my ingredients. It's brew in the bag. What I'm going to do with these, you'll see. If you're wondering why these dark grains are separate, well, you'll find out why they're separate during the brew day. So yeah, I'm just keeping the roasted barley and the chocolate malt separate for now. So I'm going to get on and start to crush these grains. I'll pop on the screen my ingredients so you can see them. Okay, I need to crack on. Okay, so we're starting to dough in. So that's a technical term for getting the grain in the kettle, or actually in the mash tun. So yes, like I say, it's going to be a tropical stout. I'll put a description of a tropical stout, but a good example is like Dragon Stout or Jamaica Stout. That's what I'm aiming for. They're like sweeter, but not any lactose, and they're a bit like a milk stout sweetness, but more fruity esters from the yeast. That's the key to it. You don't get the fruitiness from the hops. Originally, you get the fruitiness from the esters of the yeast. So that's why I'm going to use a lager yeast and ferment it warm. So that's the whole point. So yeah, so basically brewed mainly like in the West Indies, that sort of area. So the Demerara sugar will just bring a bit of lightness as well to the body. Roast there, but not like a big on roast, not like any harsh bitterness from the roast. You don't want that, because you want to try and get it a little bit sweeter. So yes, I'm going to mash this in around about 69, 60-minute mash, 10-minute mash out, 75, and then it's going to be a 75-minute boil. So I just need to take an example, a sample. Take a sample now for my pH reading. But as you can see, all my paler malts have gone in here. No dark malts as yet. And there is a reason for that, but I'll come back to that. So I just need to take my sample now for the pH. So there's my sample now for the pH. That's just enough there. So I'm going to mash this now. I'm going to put the towels on. It's round about the temperature I want, so I'm happy with that. 69.5 degrees. Like I say, 60-minute mash, 69 Celsius, and I'll come back with the dark grains. Right, I've got 10 minutes left on my mash. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add my dark grains into the mash. And the whole point of this is to reduce any astringency that you could get from the dark grains, which I don't really want in a tropical stout. So I want the colour and I want some roastiness, but I don't want too much astringency or harshness of bitter notes. So that's the whole point. So I've not done the full 60 minutes with the dark roasted grains. I'm just going to do 10 minutes. First time I've done this, but I've done some research. It may work, may not. I'll only find out when the beer's done, to be honest. But yeah, that's the whole point of me doing this. So I've crushed them grains and I'm putting them in for the last 10 minutes, and I'll take another pH reading now because that will adjust that pH. Right, so mash done, mash out and strain this bag of all that lovely wort. So that's the next step. So I'm going to strain the bag of the wort. Right, so we've reached the boil, so I've got to wait 15 minutes now for my first addition. That'll be a 60-minute addition of Aurora going in. We're looking for about 29 IBUs for the whole recipe, so it's not supposed to be like a overly bitter beer at all anyway. So 15 minutes, then I'll add the first hop addition. Right, Aurora, 60-minute addition, straight in, and then we're going to do 30-minute addition of Aurora next, and that is it for the hops. Aurora, 30-minute addition into the pan. Now just another 30 minutes of boiling, and then start to cool. It's that simple, this beer. Hopefully it tastes good as well. So yeah, let's get to the cooling point. I am back. 10-minute the sugar addition. Just whilst we're getting to the end of the boils, what I'll explain what I use these clips for. So if you can see, we're on a stove, so the steam's coming out the back end or coming out of here, so it's not enclosed the steam. I've got a window open from behind, which is helping as well, so it helps with that steam. But these, depending on how the temperature is outside or in the room, I can just basically spin these around a little bit, like this, and it just closes the pan up and I get a bigger boil. Or if I don't want too much of a boil, I can just bring them round and it opens it up, so it just cools the boil down a little bit. So it's basically one way of controlling the boil while you're on the stove. Okay, that's the end of the boil, so I've just got to put this into the cooling pan now and get myself a little sample of the wort just to measure the gravity. But yeah, so really now it's down to the cooling process, and then I can get it in the FV and pitch that yeast. The fun bit of the brew day is giving the kettle a good scrub for next time. So yeah, get stuck in hot water, a little bit of soap, stainless steel wool I think they call it, which is good. You just don't want to put it on the etchings, but the rest of the pan it's good for. Okay, there it is. So we've named this, me and Mrs. B, No Woman, Just Stout. Bit like if you think of the song, No Woman, No Cry. Because it's a Jamaican stout, to be honest. Tropical Jamaican style stout. Came in at 1.070, the original gravity. I'm going to ferment at 22 degrees with that lager yeast. So hopefully, maybe 5 to 6 weeks, we'll have a grain to glass video and a tasting of this. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be possibly, I don't know, it could be touching 7.5, maybe up to 8, depending on what attenuation to get with that yeast as well. So there it is. That's the wort, hopefully now, fermenting, and that yeast doing its job. Okay, comment below anything. You're always happy to answer questions, and thanks, cheers, and I'll see you on another one.